Hi, this is Hers with HC Customs, and today I am making some dirty pour insert dice with a black tinted shell. And it ends up looking really cool. These are a set of dice I had made prior to this, and as you can see, this is what one of those dice looks like. It ends up looking as if the swirls are popping through the insert and coming through a little bit to the shadow, and it ends up giving a pretty cool effect. I use Mr. Nola's glass coat epoxy for my dice. I have been using it for quite a while. I kind of like the thickness. I also have a silicone mixing cup, and then just like mixing cup so I can pre-measure, and then of course I've got a stir stick. Then I have some epoxy resin pigment. I have purple and white, and later on you'll see black because I didn't like how the purple looked in the cup. With these initial ones, I would do 15 milliliters of each A and B, but for the purpose of this one, I actually went a little bit more just to be sure. I'll take the epoxy and put it in and then mix it. You really just mix it really slow for about 5 minutes, and I tend to go faster, so it tends to be a little bit more bubbly. But with this part, it doesn't matter because these are for the inserts. They're going to be pressured in the pressure pot, so any kind of bubbles that would be there would go away. I started with one drop of purple and didn't quite like how that looked, so I start small and then I go bigger, so I'll end up adding another drop. I still don't like the way that looks, and then you'll see me putting black in there, which looks really dark, but when it was put into the dice, kind of leveled off and ended up giving like a more of like an amethyst look. So here's the part where you get the dirty pour with the wisps in there. So each dice I'll take, or each like one or two dice, I'll take one drop of the white resin pigment and then I'll stir it until it looks similar to what you see here, where it's just there. And then you pour it, and then you repeat the process. So each one of these is one drop of white. I will put another drop in and kind of swirl it around, and then I'll just repeat that with each one. The only one that I didn't do that with was the D6. And right there, you can actually see some of the wisps that came through on the D20, and then that part right there actually looks like what you'll see later on. The only one I didn't do this with was the D6, and it just kind of came out real quick. So that one kind of looks a little bit muddy, but you could still see some little wisps in there. Don't forget to put a little bit on your cap, but don't smush it down. What I'm saying is don't like spread it out, just kind of get it on the top there. Then I just take the lighter, any little bubbles that are left afterwards. Then you cap it and you push it on lightly, kind of make sure those registration marks fit, and you don't like press it down. You could see me there just kind of just tapping it and making sure, like wiggling it a little. Then I'm going to put it in my special. It's not really special. It's just stuff I got, dowels and balsa wood rounds for my pressure pot. Then the next step is to put it in my pressure pot. Yes, that is a vinyl cutout of Jack Black because of how much JB weld I had to use for the welds. Yeah, that's for another story. So you tighten it up. And since I had pressured my molds at 40, I try to go just under 40. So here I'll go between like 35 and 37, just so that it doesn't interfere. 24 hours, then you pull the inserts. This part is kind of satisfying when I go through and pull those out. So right there, you'll see some of the flashing. And then what I'll do is I'll cut that out or pull it off depending on how thin it is. Some of them get pretty thick. So here is that the D20 that you saw those lines on. Then I just showed a D10 and then the D8 here with just the swirl effect in there. It's fancy. After those are out, I will cut through. I will just kind of cut off the flashing with a craft knife and just shave it off. It doesn't have to be perfect because it's going inside a shell. And any kind of scrape marks that you see are going to be filled in with the rest of the epoxy for the shell part. And it ends up like you just don't see it. Then I get my individual molds for this part because I have different versions of the D6, and I think I have another D20. With the inserts that go into the molds, it leaves a gap. So I can make the insert, and then the numbers hold the insert in place while the epoxy is put around the outside. So now it's time to mix up some more resin. This time I went a lot more. You can do a lot less because I'm just putting a shell around my dice, but I'm making molds of my masters for the D6, so I mixed more resin. So I put 2 drops into 40 milliliters, and then I just kind of fill each of my molds around halfway. So here you'll see me pushing the resin around to kind of get any of those bubbles that might be underneath there through. And that's just something I do. You don't have to do that. For me, it does less bubbles. But then I push each one of the dice in the mold very carefully as to not rip the molds while I'm putting the insert. And with the half, it just kind of, bubbles over like that. This part is just very, very messy, I have to say. So once all that is done, I'll do the same thing as I did before. Like right now, this is the same process as you've already seen where, I put the dice in, let them set for a minute, and then I'll take my lighter, and then you just kind of fit each one of the caps. Here I show you again where, you just press down lightly again, and I just recycle. Just to let you know, after this, I recycled. I recycled the footage, where it's just like it's the same thing each time. So with the insert dice, it's not just you pour them and go. These will, you make the insert, and then once those are done, you put them in with the shell. So again, another 24 hours. You take them out. I get my ope moment for the video where I was taking the D6 out, and there it goes. It just shot across my bench. Of course, I inspected to make sure there weren't any damages to it. There aren't, so it's good. But yeah, I mean, it happens. Here's the nice, almost shiny dice. I will cut the flashing off, and then I will kind of scrape along those lines. And then if I need to, if there's anything else, I will take it with some of the Zona papers. As you can see, that's kind of what I did there. I scrape along after I do the flashing just so that it's smooth, and then I will polish those down. I didn't cover that in this video, but it's just something that I will do for the dice. After that, I start inking. So what I have here is Arteza Titanium White, Arteza Silver, Liquitex Silver Acrylic Ink, and some Flow Improver that I've mixed up to make this like shimmery white color that I use to ink some of my dice. And that's it. Enjoy the view. They ended up looking like amethyst to me, but that's how I make my shadow shell. I call them shadow shell dice, but it's just putting a dark tinted shell around whatever color you decide to make. That was my video. Thank you for watching. hzcustoms.com is my shop, and I will be working on making more videos in the future. If there's any techniques you want to see me try, let me know. Again, a lot of the stuff that I use, I will put links in the description down below. Again, thanks for watching.